I can have a lot of apps.
You just can't be successful in a school environment today without readily made available access to the internet.
And the price is right, too. Low-income residents who qualify pay only $10 a month for the access from AT&T Internet service. Apparently, even Lisette's Spanish-speaking mom is now getting cyber-savvy.
She searches up for her novelas. She searches up new recipes to cook for us.
The program is part of an even larger campaign by HUD called the Connect Home Initiative to get low-income communities connected to the information superhighway. And along with AT&T, HUD will host 30 of these events in pilot communities over the next year.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. We at AT&T appreciate being part of the family.
And Lisette's family is already feeling the rewards of being more electronically interconnected. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
To find out if you qualify for the Access from AT&T Internet program, visit att.com/access or call 855-220-5211. Well, cleaner water, greener streets, and some extra science experiments for the kids. The LA Department of Water and Power's new 99th Street water treatment plant in Watts promises all of that and a jump to a more modern water system. Anna Marcos takes us to the groundbreaking.
This is groundbreaking indeed. Soon, all the hustle and bustle at this construction site will create the new 99th Street water treatment plant in South LA. LA DWP crews are working to convert the city's drinking water disinfection system from chlorine to something called chloramine, which just means better drinking water for Watts. The Watts area has one of the last chlorine water systems left in LA.
Chloramines are really the disinfectant going into the future, and for us, they're longer lasting.
Our mission at LADWP is to provide safe, reliable, cost-effective water and power.
Residents won't actually be able to taste the difference in the water, but it will improve water quality standards and create fewer byproducts, which means healthier drinking.
It'll help us ensure that we have clean, high-quality water.
And students at the nearby 99th Street School will also see benefits from the project. They will get to conduct science experiments in the DWP's mobile water testing lab, and they can look forward to a greener school environment as well.
We are also equally excited to receive some free trees via LADWP's City Plants program, so that we can create a green outdoor classroom.
After this new plant, crews will still have one more plant to convert to create drinking water throughout LA that meets the highest new standards in water regulations. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Chloramine, by the way, is a combination of chlorine and ammonia and is a lot more stable than chlorine. While the City Council throws its support behind a Metro ballot measure, connecting seniors to each other and city services, and a new service center in downtown LA is helping homeless pet owners take care of their pets. All this in City Beat. The Los Angeles City Council threw its support behind Metro's November 8th ballot measure asking voters to hike the sales tax a half a cent in order to pay for public transit projects. Measure M needs the support of 2/3 of voters to win approval. If passed, the measure would enact a half-cent sales tax hike to fund a package of transportation improvements that include new rail and bus lines, highway improvements, and street repairs. More than 100 seniors from the 13th District joined Councilmember Mitchell Farrell in Elysian Park for a resource fair that aimed to provide seniors with greater access and information to city and other supportive social services. The second annual fair included a performance by Senior Star Power, a troupe of professional actors and performers who entertained the crowd. A group of consumer advocates also acted out a public service announcement about senior scams.
Access to information is vital for us to learn about not just the services, but also grow with our age.
A downtown resource center for low-income and homeless pet owners is now open once a week at the Inner City Law Center offices, offering help with veterinary care animal registration, pet supplies, and other needs. The Pet Resource Center is staffed by trained volunteer counselors from the group Downtown Dog Rescue, which works with low-income individuals who own pets. The center, located at 1309 East 7th Street, is open Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visitors to the center will get free spay and neuter vouchers provided by the Los Angeles Animal Services Center, help with first-time animal registration, and more.
And then any other type of housing-related legal assistance that Intercity Law Center can provide to those people that they may be facing homelessness due to any type of pet issues that they may be having.
While it's not enough to beautify great streets, you also have to consider the needs of shops that do business along those corridors. That's why the city is stepping in to help these local businesses with loans of up to $250,000. Gil Reyes explains the Great Streets, Great Business program.
This new loan program made a believer out of Highland Park business owner Ruben Herrera.
I apply, I just get all my paperwork, and it's true.
Herrera, the owner of Devon Glass and Mirror on North Figueroa, applied for a loan and actually got it. He can thank the city's Great Streets program, a plan to spruce up 15 of the city's busiest streets with new planters, outdoor seating, artwork, and street improvements to entice more people to walk, bike, and shop in these neighborhoods. Now add another perk, loans. Between $1,000 and $250,000 loans for businesses located along these corridors. Mayor Eric Garcetti originated the Great Streets idea as a councilman, beautifying and providing financial help to the then struggling community of Atwater Village. The area has thrived ever since.
We saw that steady work, working with the businesses that were already there, or improving the pedestrian experience, or making things safer, or celebrating the art, could bring investment back.
The Great Streets, Great Business program also offers lease negotiation for companies.
Putting together a business plan, putting together a real financial plan, understanding what the market opportunities are. And there's some resources available to help small businesses do that. They don't have to do it by themselves.
Ruben Herrera says his loan will allow him to hire more than 12 new workers, something he never thought would be possible.
Honestly, I don't believe much, but when they told me about all these things and it's come through, like, wow, we need to tell everybody, come and apply.
On North Figueroa, one of the city's 15 great streets, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
And the city is collaborating with the Valley Economic Development Center to offer loans, about $4 million worth. To see if your business qualifies, log on to vedc.org/greatstreets. Well, what do the LA Dodgers and the LA City Library have in common? Well, motivating kids to read, of course, and so far the Dodgers have hit a home run. It was a blue day at the Arroyo Seco Branch Library, Dodger blue that is, as Dodgers manager Dave Roberts and his family read to local kids as part of the LA Public Library's Summer Reading Club.
This book is a little bit of American baseball and a little bit of Japanese baseball. In America, we drive to the game in our long blue station wagon. In Japan, we ride to the game in a short red bus. Literacy and reading, and it's very familiar and personal. And so I think that for us to have the opportunity to kind of be more familiar with the kids, it's just a great experience for everyone. In America, we cheer, get a hit, win, 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 go for it. In Japan, we cheer, do your best.
This is part of an initiative that the Los Angeles Dodgers Foundation has with the Library Foundation of Los Angeles. Literacy is a really big part of the foundation's focus in our work.
The Dodgers' special contribution to the library's summer reading program is called Read for the Win, and includes not only members of the Dodger family reading to kids across the entire library system, but game tickets, hats, and stickers for the young readers as well.
I think having the importance of reading and why books are important and why it's so important for young people to read is a message that everyone is responsible for, and we want everyone to carry that message. Certainly our mayor carries that message when he speaks to audiences, and it's great to hear the Dodgers communicate that message too.
And when the reading was all done, it was time for a Dodger tradition.
Horns 1, 2, 3, stretch her out at the old ball game.
The library's summer reading program ran through August 6th. Well, from reading to dancing, as folks boogied on down to Northeast LA for a free weekend of outdoor performances. Gil Reyes has more from the Latin Jazz and Music Festival.
This festival in Highland Park lured Tomas and Pauline Cesares out of their home and onto the dance floor.
Tomas loves music, and he said there's going to be a festival at Sycamore Park. I said, where is that? He said, off of Figueroa. We said, vámonos. We got in our car, got our stuff together, aquí estamos. We love the city of Los Angeles.
The Latin Jazz and Music Festival was all about expressing this Northeast LA community's eclectic vibe.
They have a combination of various types of music. It's not just salsa, Latin jazz, and of course we had Cold Duck, which is sort of a top 40 band, which is phenomenal, and one of the biggest dance floors anywhere around.
Funding is not city funding. We've got sponsors, plenty of generous sponsors, community partners that see our vision of bringing culture and art to our district. They have generously donated and made this possible.
The Office of Councilmember Gilbert Cedillo organized the event on this, its third year. There were 13 acts over one weekend.
And I think the musicians are amazing and they're not appreciated enough in our community, and the fact that Gil Cedillo chooses to use his money and resources this way is awesome to support local talent.
And it generates a lot of interest, especially with the culture and the music, because it's all what? It's all one thing, universal, right? Dance is universal, music's universal.
In Highland Park, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Well, satisfy your cravings for fresh pasta and sweet sausage as an Italian festival dishes out all your favorites. See your favorite podcaster in person and enjoy some smooth jazz at one of LA's coolest venues. All this in this week's Things to Do. Garlic and pasta lovers, it's the weekend you've been waiting for. The Galbani Italian Feast of San Gennaro, Los Angeles unleashes everything Italian culture has to offer during one tasty weekend. In 2002, some of LA's most prominent Italian-American citizens got together and produced the first annual Feast of San Gennaro in Los Angeles, offering 3 days of enjoyment for the entire family. So join friends and family and celebrate Italian culture, food and entertainment, live music, street performers, strolling musicians, a kids' corner, and many rides and games. In addition to sampling wine from local wineries and food from some of LA's best Italian restaurants, guests can learn recipes from the cooking stage. It all takes place September 23rd to the 25th in Hollywood. For more, visit feastofla.org. Los Angeles Podcast Festival, the premier live podcasting event, brings together the biggest names in podcasting for a week-long blowout in LA, ground zero for a medium where many of the top shows are based. The annual festival unites podcasters, their special guests, fans, and the podcasting industry to celebrate all things podcasting. It all happens September 23rd to the 25th at the Sofitel Hotel located at 8555 Beverly Boulevard. For more, visit lapodfest.com. Jazz at LACMA features the art of jazz as practiced by leading Southern California artists. Celebrating over 20 years at LACMA, the program continues to be one of the museum's most recognizable offerings. Jazz at LACMA is a celebration of LA's finest jazz musicians. So relax and enjoy some jazz for free on Friday, September 23rd and the 30th. For more, visit lacma.org. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Caucus, and Mr. Koretz making it in the nick of time. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Shh. Good morning. Would you please take your seats? Today is Tuesday, September 20th. I'd like to welcome you to your Los Angeles City Hall and your Los Angeles City Council meeting. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. The public is welcome. Madam Clerk, we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Heristasen, Huizar, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Price moves. Martinez seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Bonin moves. Mr. Blumenfield seconds. Next.
Mr. President, today is Tuesday and time for the flag salute.
Thank you. Okay, since we have a big presentation today, I'm going to ask Mr. Koretz, since it's your presentation, to lead us in our flag salute. If all could please rise. All could please rise for the salute of the flag.
Well, please join me in saluting our flag. Hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Madam Clerk, why don't we quickly run through the agenda?
Mr. President, there is a request to refer item 4 to the Personnel and Animal Welfare Committee.
Okay, so without objection, that'll be the order.
Additionally, the Department of Building and Safety requests that the following items be received and filed: 1B and 1H, as the liens have been partially paid and partially rescinded, and 1K, N, and P, as the liens have been paid in full.
Okay, again, without objection, so ordered. Continue.
Items 1 through 2 are items noticed for public hearing.
Do you have cards on these items?
There are cards on item 1.
Okay, let's hold 1, vote on 2. Let's, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
12 ayes, 12 ayes.
12 ayes, okay. Mr. Buscaino has arrived. Okay, continue.
Items 3 through 14 are items for which public hearings have been held. The Public Safety Committee report for item 3 has not yet been submitted. Do you wish to hold that one on the desk?
Yes. And item 6 as well. Mr. Koretz?
No, item 6.
You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then let's prepare to vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Continue.
Items 15 through 22 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. Do we have cards on these items?
Yes, there are cards on 15, 16, 19, 21, and 22.
Okay, hold those items. Let's prepare to vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, that brings us where, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, that takes council back to presentations or items called special.
Thank you. I want to look to my right. Mr. Koretz, would you like to start us off? So the floor is yours. Mr. Cedillo? Gilbert?
Well, thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. I'm delighted to be leading today's special presentation. This morning we get to salute one of LA's greatest long-standing success stories. I'm pleased to be honoring CBS daytime programming, which today celebrates 30 consecutive years at the top of daytime television ratings. That's an incredible 30 straight years rated number one, and throughout all those years, the people of CBS daytime, some of whom are standing with me right here, have entertained, amused, and enthralled, informed, and inspired countless people. Think of it, when that amazing streak began, our great mayor, Tom Bradley, still had 7 years left in his future service to the city of Los Angeles. These days, so much changes overnight, not just in politics and government, but especially in the world of television and media technology, that it's astonishing to think of anyone as ranked number one for 3 straight decades. But that's exactly what CBS Daytime has been and has done, combining into one magnificent endeavor, professional excellence, tremendous creativity, outstanding business acumen, and sheer love of the city. And I mention love because that's what makes this accomplishment especially invaluable to all of us, is that CBS Daytime programming is shot and produced here in Los Angeles and always has been. Mostly at CBS Television City at Beverly and Fairfax, which I believe, although I'm still trying to figure out the maps years later, is shared by Councilmember Ryu and myself, as well as their other facility in Studio City at CBS Studio Center. Yes, all CBS Daytime programs are produced here in LA and therefore contribute mightily and on a daily basis to our cultural history, our artistic heritage, and of course is extraordinarily beneficial to our economy because it brings so many jobs and retains so many jobs here in the city of LA. CBS and CBS Daytime warrant our thanks and praise for being an essential part of an industry that's critical to the city of Los Angeles. Now, along with creative and economic contributions made by CBS Daytime, there's also a huge amount of civic and philanthropic effort to be praised. Certainly one of my heroes, Bob Barker, the longtime legendary host of The Price is Right, was known as well for that as for his incredible support of animals and their welfare. He promoted that on his show and everywhere else in his life. And so we're in awe of his monumental efforts and heart. And we know that the show has continued to promote not only animal welfare, and that the host, Drew Carey, who of course is a world-famous comedian, is a champion also for libraries and for people afflicted with cancer. CBS Daytime's powerhouse lineup consists of 5 shows: The Bold and the Beautiful, Let's Make a Deal, The Price is Right, The Talk, and The Young and the Restless. CBS Daytime programs have won many accolades. The milestone achievements include The Young and the Restless being Daytime's most watched drama, The Talk being network television's most watched daytime talk show, and The Price is Right being network television's most watched daytime program and longest-running game show. CBS Daytime has delighted a hugely loyal, enthusiastic, and ever-growing fan base, reaching through generations of avid followers. So now I'd like to invite one of our special guests, Angelica McDaniel, Executive Vice President.
But before you do that, let's give them a round of applause.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you all for all of the joy and the excitement that you give to each and every one of us. And I'm proud to have a fellow Clevelander here. We may have to suit you up to play quarterback this week. Our quarterbacks get hurt every week. But anyway, we're so excited to have each and every one of you here, and just thank you. You take ordinary folk like us on a different trip. We can be whoever we want. We do it through you. So thank you so very much. With that said, Mr. Koretz, you want to do what now?
I'd like to begin with Angelica McDaniel, the Executive Vice President of Daytime Programs for CBS Entertainment.
Please come forward. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Paul Koretz, and to the entire City Council for this great honor. We are all humbled and thrilled to be here today. As the head of daytime programming at CBS, this is a very special day for the network, for my team who is all here up with us today, and to all the talented people who make these local shows possible. CBS Daytime is comprised of some of the most honored and longest-running, most-watched programs in television, as the councilman just said, including The Price is Right, Let's Make a Deal, The Bold and the Beautiful, The Young and the Restless, and The Talk. And joining me today are some of the talent of these shows, as well as creators, and I would like to take a moment to acknowledge them. First, to my left, we have Lee Phillip Bell, who, along with her husband, Bill Bell, created both The Young and the Restless and The Bold and the Beautiful, which are the two top daytime dramas in the country. Representing The Young and the Restless, which just aired its 11,000th episode, are Melody Thomas Scott and Christoph St. John. And for The Bold and the Beautiful, we also have Heather Tom and Don Diamont. And of course, as mentioned, Cleveland's best, Drew Carey, host of
Yay.
The Price is Right. Come up here, Drew. He's back in the back. He started his 10th season, which actually just debuted this week. And this is television's longest-running game show, which is currently in its 45th season. CBS is incredibly proud to call the great city of Los Angeles home for all of these CBS daytime programs. Collectively, we have more than 700 people who make more than 1,000 episodes of television every single year, year after year. We have thousands of employees over the years that have paid their mortgages, raised their children, and planned retirements on the strength of these shows and this local industry. We have been number one today, we celebrate, for 30 years, thanks to our viewers and each member of the staff, cast, and crew, some of whom have been with us longer than this 30-year milestone we are celebrating today. The Young and the Restless has cast and crew that have been on the show for 38 years, which is just one example of the enduring strength of these great brands. Shows that are beloved across the country, as well as being local institutions. The Price is Right is a bucket list item and top destination for countless tourists and perhaps many people in this room today who hope for that opportunity to get called to come on down and spin the wheel with Drew Carey. The Bold and the Beautiful was intentionally set in Los Angeles to take advantage of the city's incredible resources, geography, and iconic history, which frequently show up on camera. Just recently, the series, which is also the most watched serial in the world, aired a visit we made to Dodger Stadium. And then we welcomed player Kike Hernandez, who appeared on the show. So these opportunities let us celebrate all that this great city has to offer, but not just on a local, not just on a national, but on a global scale. Every day we share moments that are relatable and inspirational. We laugh and we love. We chat, cheer, and celebrate along with our fans. We create a world of entertainment that starts right here in Los Angeles and extends into the hearts and minds of viewers around the world. We are thrilled to celebrate this milestone of hitting 30 years at #1 today, and we look forward to leading the way for another 30 years to come. Thank you for this incredible honor.
Now, thank you. Mr. Koretz, I do have a couple of members that would like to say a few things. Would you like them to speak now or later?
If I could just have a couple of the...
You go right ahead.
One thing I've always wanted to say is, Drew Carey, come on down.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having us here. If I could summarize the previous speakers, without CBS Daytime TV, this whole city would fall apart. Thank you for having us here. I'm surprised how many people recognize us, given that all our TV shows are on when you're supposed to be at work. I guess you guys have a lot of sick days.
TiVo.
Sure. I believe you're at night watching. I'm going to picture you at night in your pajamas watching Prices Right now. But seriously, thanks for everything. It's been an honor. And yeah, who needs Burbank when we got LA? Thanks for the proclamation. Thanks for the money. God bless you.
And anyone else that would like to say a few words from among the cast? Oops.
I wasn't planning this, but from a native Los Angelino, I was born at Cedars when it was still of Lebanon, not Sinai yet. I am so proud to have been affiliated with CBS in Los Angeles at TV City for over 37 years on the same show. And I have not just Los Angeles to thank for that, but the fans around the world, and this woman right here who created our show, Lee Bell, again. And I just want to thank you all for appreciating us enough to have us here at this very special event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. I'm originally from New York, so I'm a transplant. And I just want to say that if it weren't for the city of Los Angeles, I would not have a job. Hollywood is the mecca of entertainment. Right. And I am proud to be a part of that and also this wonderful city. It's very diverse, multicultural, multi-ethnic. I am half black, half white. I feel very much a part of this melting pot, something that's very difficult to acquire in other parts of this country. So I do want to say thank you to the city of Los Angeles and for everyone here that works tirelessly day in and day out. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Wesson. Now if we could ask a few of our colleagues that want to say a few words.
Let us start off with Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Correct, for honoring members of the Columbia Broadcast System. We recognize you and thank you for showing your talent not only on screen but off screen as well. You have been in our communities supporting a number of social service programs, libraries. Don Diamont, a dear friend, you have called on when we called on you to support the Los Angeles Police Foundation in our annual Police Celebrity Golf Tournament, you always said yes. So, Donald, thank you. Great to see you. And to Drew Carey, we'd love to have your expertise during our budget season. We would always love to have you at the table each fiscal cycle. So perhaps if I can recommend a few potential cast members of The Bold and the Beautiful here on this horseshoe. Thank you. Congratulations to CBS Daytime. We love you. And thank you for giving not only to this city of Los Angeles, but also contributing to our local economy as well. We love you.
Thank you, Mr. Buscaino. Mr. Paul Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Koretz, for bringing CBS into our house here. In a time when communication has so dramatically changed over the years and so many newspapers are closing down and people are getting their information from the blogosphere and so forth, the one thing that's kind of remained constant as a unifying force in our country, a common experience, is network daytime television, and it continues to be so. So all of you who are a part of that segment of the television industry really are the legacy of the kind of town hall that television used to be long ago, the village that brings us all together as a nation. And so I'm pleased that all of you are still having great success in this venue. But it's also very important to this city that you can, as you mentioned, that you continue to work here. When I authored the first film and television tax incentive, production tax incentive, it was in the middle of the Great Recession. We couldn't afford to extend that incentive to broadcast television. But now, the most recent version of the tax incentive does include broadcast television, and with very good reason, because each one of your shows produces millions of dollars of economic activity that benefits working people here in the city of Los Angeles, keeps small businesses in business, allows families to continue to support their children and stay right here at home. And so it's so very important that we continue to be the home of broadcast television here in Los Angeles. And I'm really appreciative that CBS has done so much to keep production here at both of its facilities, one of whom I'm privileged to represent in Studio City. And Michael Klausman and every executive at CBS Studio Center are the models of what corporate citizens should be, because CBS Studios is at the center of every important thing that happens in Studio City and the surrounding area. They support everything that the community wants to do, every neighborhood initiative. They're always there even before they're asked. And again, that's one of the benefits that we get in Los Angeles by having this industry make its home here. It's not just money. It's also about engagement and involvement in supporting our communities. And so for that, I want to thank you all very much, and congratulations to CBS.
Mr. Mitch O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Koretz, for celebrating CBS Television City. And daytime television is such a large segment of the entertainment industry in the city of Los Angeles with such a rich history. And Mr. Buscaino, I was already a cast member of The Bold and the Beautiful in the early 80s, extra work. Did extra work. There was also the show Capital. I did extra work on Capital, The Bold and the Beautiful, General Hospital, you name it, I made the rounds, but I drew a paycheck. It's such a historic place, too. That's where the Carol Burnett Show broadcast for 11 years. It's a historic place with such a rich history that really does, I think helps sort of set the stage for Los Angeles as one of, well, it's the entertainment capital of the world. But congratulations to everyone who is part of Television City, CBS, and congratulations on this day of celebration. Very well deserved.
Mr. Michael Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Koretz, for bringing the folks in today for this presentation. Mr. Krikorian identified all of the ancillary benefits we get from having production here in Los Angeles, all the different jobs, all the different economic activity. I just wanted to name one more thing that is a huge benefit to Los Angeles, or at least to Venice. Don Diamant's sons are football standouts. For Venice High School. His son, Xander, was a superstar quarterback who's now playing in Indiana, but his son, Luca, is the freshman who's the quarterback there, and he is going to be a standout. He has already passed for 611 yards, 8 touchdowns in 3 games. The kid is a superstar. Go Gondoliers.
Michael, I am impressed. Mr. David Rue.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to celebrate and congratulate CBS Daytime TV. And thank you, Councilman Koretz, for bringing this to our council today. And as representing a major portion of CBS as well as the many studios, I just want to echo what all my colleagues have said. This is the entertainment capital of the world. I mean, everything that Councilman Paul Krikorian says about all the economic generations and everything that you do, we fully support our entertainment industry. But it is you. It's because of you, the actors, the writers, the producers. You guys are the actual talent. Without you, we would have no Hollywood. We would have no Los Angeles. And City Hall looks bright today because we have such bright stars amongst us today. And Drew, take the credit. I remember ever since my college days watching all your shows, not the daytime, but then, all the different shows, but you bring a smile on our face, you make Hollywood what Hollywood is, and thank you so much for everything that you do.
Okay, thank you, members. With that said, back to you, Mr. Koretz.
And I will admit I probably go back the longest with CBS, only in that I went to the Art Linkletter show 52 years ago.
Don't tell
as
anybody.
a kid. So they've been producing great programming before that and ever since. So it's my honor, on behalf of the city, to present the certificate that declares it CBS Daytime Day in the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Again, thank you all. And Mr. Koretz, kids say the darndest things. Anyway, thank you all. You could come. Let's look at voting on, let's vote on item 3. If we could open the roll.
And excuse me, the Public Safety Committee report has been distributed for consideration.
Okay, on item 3, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Walsh. Please come forward. Okay, Mr. Walsh, 15, 19, 21.
Blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Tweeting at J. Walsh Confidential. And so old, I remember radio serials. Love of Life. Number 19, this concerns, I want you to know, I'm here to tell you to interpret this in real English. What does this mean? Re-exemption of one utility rate and policy specialist position to the Board of Public Works pursuant to Charter Section, okay. What that means is they put some friend of yours or the mayor's in a job they were not qualified for by the charter. So you put an exemption in. And we'll have next March a way to get rid of all exemptions on the ballot. All exemptions will be gone. So they can't do this in other cities, and in some other cities, the ones that are not crooked. So that's why they exempt you. Wouldn't it be nice if you got a job and your boss exempted you from qualifications? Come to work for the city. Number 19, and this is, number 15. That is they put in lots and lots of crap here that means nothing. But when it comes to the money, you don't hear anything. This is overriding considerations, impact report, mayor in Los Angeles. This is a major change to the plan. In other words, we have anybody go in and build a apartment building next to where you live? Well, maybe if you're not Jewish, they can. Maybe if you live west of La Brea and you're Jewish, they can. But if you're black or brown or white and you live east of La Brea, you are bound by the plan. And your councilman will tell you that. You're bound by the plan, except when they have 3 pages, 4 pages of close script. And what is this saying? This is telling you how you can build a high-rise outside the plan. But number 21, and this, communications relative to the exemption. Okay, this is the airport. We have the most chaotic airport in America. Jackie Goldberg has been firing people, not lower-level people, firing people. She is the lapdog of Gannon. Gannon is the single most, at the head of the LAWA, single most powerful politician in this city. Beck gets down on his knees and gives Gannon a blowjob. That's how powerful Mr. Gannon is. Do you know him? Because he makes deals with the LA Times, and therefore you don't know Patrick Graham. But the whole world knows this airport is in chaos. And let's see somebody up here say John Walsh is psychotic. All you have to say, if you think I'm a psychotic and you think the airport is great, then But I'm telling you right now, if you open your mouth, the government's going to come in here. The federal government, the FBI, and I think we might end up with Jackie Goldberg in jail. Okay, now for my minute.
Give him his minute.
Of public comment. You're going to see you saw the big story on Herb the other day on the front page of the Times. Another one is going to be coming up. And this shows you what happens if you're a friend of the mayor, like Herb. They call him, you know what they call him up in Sacramento? Culver City Herb. The man, he lives wherever the hell he wants. He sells his buildings for 1/10 of what they're worth to some friend of his. Everything is out of control. It's all there right now from Daniel Gus and from Jack Humphreyville. It's up there. And the Times cannot ignore it. They've got to zip up Herb's zipper, wipe their face off his cum, and do the right thing. And we're going to end up with the FBI. You're going to end up in jail, punk. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Sachs, items 1, 15, 16, 22, and then public comment.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. And item 1 refers to the building and safety inspections that occur for these properties. And I'm wondering, is this the same building and safety department that inspects new construction? So I'm still trying to grasp how the city is on the hook for a court case of $200 million that they lost because of the lack of housing for people with meeting the ADA requirements in the court case they just lost. How could that happen? Nobody's really answered that. And the fact that the nonprofits that were involved and the builders that were involved, neither one of them were sued in that lawsuit. I held item 22. It refers to track maps and the accompanying Quimby fees that would come along with them. And you might have been reading about Quimby fees are used for parks. So I'm thinking, the county has the 1992-1996 Parks Proposition that has raised approximately $50 per parcel. And the city of Los Angeles has over 1 million parcels in it. So that would mean in that time frame, there's $50 million for parks. Why is the city so park poor? Why do they need to increase the Quimby fees when they're getting money from the county propositions, Parks Proposition? Where does it go? We don't know. It's okay. I held items 15 and 16. It's actually kind of funny because 15 refers to them taking one action to declare CEQA revisions or whatever, and 16 refers to taking action, or actually the project, and then action against the developer. So I would recommend you actually look at items 11 and 12, because that's also a similar type of thing. In 11 and 12, they took action where the redevelopment agency was going to acquire the property and subsequently to sell it to somebody for use. But further down in the item, it says that the city is going to sell it after they acquire it from the redevelopment agency. But the redevelopment agency is acquiring it from the city. So you have this kind of like peanut butter and jelly sandwich where you don't have any peanut butter and you don't have any jelly and you don't have any bread. But you have them voting on this action and everybody's happy. So can we get an answer from Building and Safety why nobody was punished for the lack of inspection? Can we get an answer about the Quimby fees and the fact that the city is getting about $50 million in Parks Proposition money from the county, or is supposed to be getting that amount of money? It may even be more. And there's a new ballot proposition coming up that the county wants you to vote on to do the same thing. So before you vote on it, you ought to find out where your money's going because you're paying for it. And nobody seems to want to answer that question. And then again, this development and the action that they're taking, two separate actions, and it's one of those things where you don't really follow the bouncing ball because they keep you don't follow the P because there's not 3 cups involved in the shell game. There's actually 4 cups involved in the shell game. And the other cup, that's invisible. So I go to my public comment if you'd like, Mr. President, or I can start it now, or what do you want to do? So anyway, public comment. You might have heard recently about how the city has settled its dispute with the Grahams at the Coliseum, with the police department, and they're paying for the police protection. But you know what was missing from that? If you read the story, the fire department provides EMT services. Are they paying for EMT services? And the traffic control officers that are used to control the traffic, are they paying for the traffic control officers? I'm sure that since neither one of those things came up, they're not paying. So essentially what they're getting is buy one, get 2 free. Reminds me of the times back in the early 2000s when all these fees were waived, but nothing was ever discussed about any of the auditoriums and as such. Quickly, Project Hope in San Fernando Valley, you might have heard that, the Mayor Spaghetti talking about that. 1,600 encounters, 42 people served.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Okay, now, Madam Clerk, we can vote on items 19, 21, and 22. If you would please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, we're going to move to item 1. Christopher Overton, please come forward. Do we have Christopher Overton?
And Mr. President, as the speaker comes forward, there are requests to continue 1D, 1G, and 1S for 3 weeks to October 11th.
Okay, so then without objection. Okay, now, you know, Mr. Overton, we just continued your item. So what you may want to do is have a conversation with the gentleman over here at the end. Hopefully you can work things out. Let me ask the clerk, did we give a date as to how long the continuance would be?
It was 3 weeks to October 11th.
Okay, so October 11th. So if you have a chat with, okay, Ms. Martinez?
President, can I ask item 22 to go forthwith, please?
Without objection, item 22 forthwith. Mr. Bonnet?
Item 5 forthwith, please.
5 forthwith. Okay, so on item 1, let's vote on what's remaining. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
All right. Okay, we're gonna go to item 6. Wait, I want to make sure that. In fact, I'll do general public comment. If I get Eddie Jones and Miss Latanya Hall come forward, Eddie Jones and Latanya Hall, we'll go into general public comment. Please come forward. Please come forward. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say thank you for putting out the award, $2,000 award for my son.
Oh. Thank you for not too many people come back and say a kind word. So know that I'm sure Mr. Harris Dawson and this council appreciates that you would do that. Not a lot of people do.
Oh,
so it touches
it's a privilege. I appreciate that.
Did you want to say something? Thank you, too.
Thank you, young man. Thank you, young man.
President Herb Wesson, and to the city council members, we are honored and grateful And we want to thank Mr. Harrison Dawson, a councilman, and his staff for assisting us. We want to thank you also, President Herb Wesson, for allowing the $25,000 reward to be put up to get the hit-and-run killer that hit and killed her 28-year-old son, Brian Hall. We're honored and grateful, and we just thank you all very much for the work that's being done.
Thank you.
And God bless.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Krikorian.
Mr. President, can I ask that number 8 be sent forthwith, please?
Okay, without objection, that'll be the order. Okay, now let's go to item 6. There are no speakers on the queue on item 6. Mr. Koretz.
I had some concerns relating to the date that we wind up using as our grandfather date, but those questions have been answered.
Okay, so with that said, let's, on that item, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, that is approved. Martinez. Let's go. Mr. Bonin. I saw him. Mr. Bonin, it works at this juncture for us to move to items 15 and 16. So would you like to tee that up for us, or?
Yes, Mr. President. Given that this item was waived from Plum, we're required to have a public hearing here in Council. I imagine it'll be a robust one, and I think it would be appropriate to begin with public comment, and then I'll speak after that.
Very well, we'll begin with public comment for 1 minute for each speaker. If I could please get the first 3 speakers to line up in front of the podium. Alicia Shepard, Mike Valerio, and Robert Shepard. If I can please have the other 2 speakers I just called to line up behind Ms. Shepard. Mike Vallero, Robert Shepard. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, council members, for having us before you today. I am really excited about the Metro Martin Expo Town Center, and I would like everyone who's here in support of this project, stand up or raise your hands. The West Side is hungry for this TOD project. We've watched the Martin family for 5 years be super responsive to community feedback and input. From a TOD project that started at a 6.0 FAR of almost predominantly entirely commercial to now a heavily weighted residential project at a 3.9 FAR. I witnessed the City Planning Commission unanimously approve the project with 200,000 square feet of creative office and 50,000 square foot grocery store. Even then, the Martins took more community consideration into their plans and gave 50,000 square feet of their office up, which doesn't make much sense when we have a 3% vacancy rate in our office portion of the West Side. Furthermore, the Martins made design improvements in response to community feedback, incorporating generous public open space at ground level. Please consider this project and vote yes.
Thank you very much. And just for the record, Madam Clerk, we did start with the appellates first, so we're going to get through those, and then we'll continue with the next speakers. Mike Valerio, Robert Shepard, and Bill Moorhead. Is Bill Moorhead here? Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm Mike Valerio. I'm a Playa Vista resident. I'm a retired General Motors executive, and one of the things that was very challenging for us through my 35-year career with Cadillac was establishing and maintaining representation for our dealer network in dense, high-cost urban markets. And now I'm retired. I still depend on Martin Cadillac from a service standpoint, my wife's vehicle. And The problem is for most of these downtown locations, the business case does not pencil in an automotive context. And so we see not only here in the United States, but around the world, mixed-use applications. And one of the things I just wanted to point out to the council and ask for your consideration is that if this project would be allowed to go forward, I would be able to continue, and certainly the many residents that depend for Martin Cadillac's both service and sales offerings on the west side would be able to continue. If not, I'd have to go to Sherman Oaks or
Thank
to
you,
the
sir.
South Bay. Thank you.
The next speaker is Robert Shepard, followed by Bill Moorhead and Fritz Borghardt. Fritz Borghardt, are you here? Good morning, sir. Go ahead.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to voice my support for the Martin Expo Town Center and for the Martin family. I'm here today to voice my appreciation to the Martin family for how accessible they've made themselves to the community over the last 4.5 years regarding this project. I have personally witnessed Dan Martin's attendance to numerous community meetings and engaged with him personally directly at many of those informational opportunities. What is clear to me is that the Martin family takes pride in the community and has put forth an inclusive, open, community-oriented development that embraces both their family legacy and their pride in the community, in the West Side community. The Martin family has always been a great supporter of the community, and our hope is that they can continue this legacy, fulfilling this very important community-oriented project. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next speaker is Bill Moorhead, followed by Fritz Borghardt and Brian McLaughlin. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, City Council. I'd like to speak for the Martin Project. My name is Bill Moorhead, 1174 Amherst Avenue, Los Angeles. I've lived in Brentwood for almost 40 years. We need this project. We need the new city. We need to compete with other cities where very intelligent, high-earning, professional people are moving. We are presently building the city of Los Angeles. This family is taking a great risk. Don't pull the profit out of this project. 50,000 square feet of office space gone, 20,000 square feet of market gone. This is not the way to get families to invest in California. Get behind them. Make sure they make a profit. Make sure other families do this, that they don't leave California. They make a stand like Dan and Dana Martin are. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, Fritz Borghardt, Brian McLaughlin, and Sean Bernardi.
Hi, good morning. I'm Fritz Burkhardt. I'm a lifelong Angelino, born and raised here, raising a family, building a business here. I stand before you as an affirmed supporter of the Martin Expo Town Center. For many years, the city has invested heavily in implementing its vision for transit in the 21st century. But to fulfill this vision, private enterprise and city planners need to work together. They need to coordinate. They need to support each other. The Martin Expo Town Center reflects a special opportunity for such cooperation and is a very important project for transit-oriented development and mixed-use development on the west side. I support the Martin family's vision, and I applaud their leadership, and I expect you will support them too. Thank you.
Next speaker is Brian McLaughlin, followed by Sean Bernardi and Geraldine Coppola.
Good morning. My name is Brian McLaughlin. I'm here today as a member of the LA Tech community, and I ask that you approve the Martin Expo Town Center. To give you some background, I've been a venture capitalist here in Los Angeles for the last 15 years, with 13 years as a partner at Upfront Ventures, the largest VC firm in Southern California. Almost every high-growth startup here has the same problem. That's attracting and retaining employees. And the first thing a new software engineer complains about is the traffic and the suburban sprawl. There are vast areas of low-rise apartments in our city with no amenities and no transportation options. The Expo Center is what next-gen development in LA should look like. Portland and Denver were early movers in high-density mixed-use development as an eco-friendly solution. and their respective tech communities have flourished. If you want high-paying software jobs to come to LA, we need the Martin Expo Town Center. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Sean Bernardi here? Sean Bernardi is not here. Geraldine Coppola, followed by Jeff Gerlach, and then George Brownstein. Go ahead.
Good morning. I'm here today to express my support to the Martin Expo Town Center. As the recent president of a $250 million e-commerce business, I know how critical it is to be able to attract and retain talent. And I've observed firsthand how the wrong approach to urban development can lead to the loss of top talent. Millennials make the core of my workforce. They want a different way of life than LA has been able to offer in the past. They want to be able to walk and bike to work. They want affordable housing next to their job. They want entertainment and lunch options that they can enjoy during their lunch break. Time and time again, and I've lost talent when I was not able to offer these conditions. As a leader in the women tech community in Los Angeles, I'm deeply committed to creating the best conditions to foster the growth of the tech community in LA. And as a mother of two and a Brentwood resident, I'm also committed to creating the best neighborhood environment for my children to grow up in. I believe projects like Martin Town Expo Center is what we need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jeff Gerlach, followed by George Brownstein.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to voice my support for the Martin Expo Town Center. I am a 6-year resident of Brentwood. I'm here to voice my overwhelming support for the project. I'm a supporter of the recently opened Expo line. I use it all the time, and I'm already looking forward to moving into an apartment where I can immediately have access to the metro. To me, Martin Expo Town Center's immediate walking location to the metro line will give me and other young adults a true opportunity to become car-free in Los Angeles. I can't think of many current apartment locations that offer this truly 100% transit alternative to driving in the area. And of the apartments that do offer this, there's little to no vacancy, and they're almost impossible to secure. On top of everything else, the city of Santa Monica and Silicon Beach continues to grow. There's a huge need for additional professional apartments for young adults like myself. A development that offers all that Martin Expo Town Center does would be a huge blessing to the growing young adult population and professionals alike. I urge you to support this much-needed project.
Thank you. The next speaker is George Brownstein, followed by John Masseri and Joseph Donaldson. Are the other two speakers? Can you please line up? Good morning, sir. Go ahead.
Good morning, council members. Good morning, council member Mike Bonin and Mitchell Farrell. I've lived in Brentwood for 50 years, raised my family. I live on Kenter Avenue, which is an extension of Bundy, where the Martin Expo Town Center is planned at Olympic and Bundy. Myself, all my neighbors, and my family support this. As taxpayers, we've spent billions of dollars to bring Los Angeles into the modern age with a rapid transit system. When you take land that's commercial land and turn it into residential across from a beautiful subway expo light rail center like that, you naturally reduce traffic. It's something the neighborhood needs. If anything, I would say the density should be greatly enhanced, as in New York or Chicago, where density follows transit. So this brings us into the modern age. I support it. Everybody should support this. Thank you so much for your help.
The next speaker is John Masseri, followed by Joseph Donaldson and Dwayne Davis. Are those two other folks here? Can you please line up?
Joseph Donaldson.
What is your name, sir?
Joseph Donaldson.
Joseph, go ahead, sir.
So I'm head of real estate for Riot Games, which many of you may know is one of the largest employers in West LA. Currently, over 1,500 people come to work at our offices near the intersection of Olympic and Bundy. Some of those people live in the neighborhood. Many more would like to, but there just aren't enough apartments. We strongly endorse the development of the Martin Expo Town Center. It will bring exactly the type of living spaces and amenities that will create the real work-life environment that so many people talk about as desirable in America's cities today. help us take more of our cars off the road and approve this development. Thank you.
The next speaker is Joseph Donaldson and Dwayne Davis, followed by Bill Christopher. Are those other two folks here?
Just Dwayne.
I need to know so I can put these cards away. Are you Joseph Donaldson?
No, I'm Dwayne Davis.
Is Joseph Donaldson here? So John, I thought you were John Masseri. Is John Masseri here? Okay, so John Masseri is not here. Mr. Donaldson already spoke. You're Dwayne Davis. Bill Christopher, are you here? Bill Christopher is not here. Steve Sanbo, I think that's a B. Sanbo, are you here? And Bryn Hamblin, please line up. Thank you, sir, for your patience. Go ahead.
I'm Dwayne Davis. Good morning, Council. I recently retired from Los Angeles Police Department after 28 years, and my last location was in West LA. There was two ways to describe West Los Angeles area. Recently, a lot of times people would call and ask for direction. I would always tell them either Century City is one landmark and Martin Cadillac, which was the other landmark. Most of the times people will recognize Martin Cadillac. But I think that if you look at the development that you're having in Century City, it's very essential that you allow this development to occur on the west side at the town center. I think it's very important. I think it's good for the community. If you want to get the community and the people together, I think this is one way of doing it. With the transit system that's coming in, this would create a way for people to actually get out of their cars, get on their bikes, and ride over to the town center and have a good time. Anyway, thank you, and have a good morning.
Thank you. The next speaker is Steve Sambo, followed by Bryn Hamlin and Carlos Clemente. Is Carlos Clemente here? Can you please line up, sir? It'll make it easier. Thank you very much. Go ahead, sir.
Sure. Steve Sambo here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My wife and I are residents of Brentwood and both work in the Westwood area. We moved here from Dallas 5 years ago and were really shocked by how difficult it was to find modern, affordable housing within walking distance of retail options, restaurants, and entertainment. These were all things we became accustomed to while living in Dallas's Uptown district. I saw firsthand how similar marquee projects like this one can positively transform an area, and I strongly support this project. It creates a sense of community. People ditch their cars. You walk to restaurants. You walk to the grocery store. I did it. I'm a firsthand example. I'm a big believer in this development. I strongly urge you guys to vote yes and support this project today. Thank you.
Thank you. Bryn Hamlin, followed by Carlos Clemente and Ira Belgrade. Is Ira Belgrade here? Ira Belgrade is not here. David Kirsch, are you here? I thought I saw you. Good morning. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Bryn Hamblin. Thank you for having us today. I am here to voice my support for the Martin Expo Town Center. I've worked on the west side near Olympic and Bundy area for a while now, and as a commuter to the area, I would love the potential to live within walking distance to my office, as well as the newly opened Expo line. And a TOD project like this is ideal for someone like myself and other incoming professionals to the West LA neighborhood. With the Martin Expo Town Center project also expanding the amenities and food options in the area for the thousands of employees and residents who typically have to drive elsewhere during the days or even in the evenings when they're at home. Now that the Expo line is here, I strongly urge you to further approve the Martin Expo Town Center project and afford the west side of Los Angeles an incredibly well thought out and progressive TOG project. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Carlos Clemente, followed by Ira Belgrade, which I already called. Is that person here? Ira is not here. Ira, you're here. Can you please line up, please? Called you several times. And David Kirsch. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me come. I just wanted to say I support this project fully, and anything to move it forward, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Ira Belgrade?
Someone else is going.
You can go first because I called you first. Switch. Got to go in order. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Ira Belgrade, homeowner in Council District 4. I am asking for this city council to please request that the city attorney investigate whether or not a man by the name of Dylan Johnson who I believe is a paid political strategist and lobbyist working for the firm Rodriguez Strategies, was properly registered as required under the law as a lobbyist to create a coalition for Carlisle Hall and his attorney Beverly Grossman Palmer called the Coalition to Save LA's Neighborhoods, I believe a fictitious coalition which spread misinformation, lies, and fear, I believe, to homeowner groups, which eventually influenced this council to change their vote and not repeal the old granny flat ordinance.
Sir, you're not
He's
the
not
right
talking
item.
on this item.
This is not the item. I think you were referring to item 6.
No. This was general comments. I wasn't referring to item
This is not general
6.
public comment. This is item 15 and 16.
I wrote a card for general public comments.
No, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, sir.
That was another card that
you
was
filled
submitted.
out a
I'm not
card
speaking
for item
on it.
15, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is David Kirsch, followed by Alex DeGood and Daryl Schur. Good morning.
Good morning. David Kirsch, the Executive Director of the Carpenters Contractors Cooperation Committee. We're here to show our strong support for this project, along with all the wonderful things that have been said before in regards to the design, the community outreach. I'd just like to add that, the construction team that's been involved in the pre-construction is one of our top union general contractors, a local contractor. So we're hoping and expecting that, it'll be good paying jobs with benefits and apprenticeships. The other thing is, we're strong supporters of Measure M, not just because of all the transportation projects and the good jobs, but because we're hoping that development patterns shift. And this is the project. It's an emblematic project. This is the kind of projects that we'd like to see more and more, where development is transit-oriented. So I urge your strong support for this project. They've done an incredible job with community outreach. It's a great team, the community folks, the Martin family, the construction team. So we urge your support of this important project. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Alex DeGood. You filled out 2 cards. We're only taking one. Both items were combined, 15 and 16, followed by David Schur and Nick Janek. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, council members. Alex DeGood with Cox, Castle, and Nicholson Legal Counsel for the project. The whole applicant team is here. If council members have any specific questions about the project, you're hearing what tremendous support this project has, and that's for good reason. With the hard work of city planning, the council office, we have a project that I think the community can really be proud of, that will be an excellent leading transit-oriented development project for West Los Angeles, and we ask for your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. David Schur,
Daryl.
followed by Nick.
It's Daryl.
Daryl, I'm sorry. Daryl, you're right, that's a YL. Daryl, and followed by Nick Janek. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I'm for this initiative. There's a big void in between the West Side Pavilion and the Santa Monica Place and shopping. And if you're really familiar with that area, there's not many restaurants, places to eat. So I think it actually will reduce the traffic for people going through this area to get some place to eat. But also, obviously, a planned community, just like what Playa Vistas did with the tech industry, intermixing living, shopping, and commercial offices will reduce traffic and make a good community drive less. Plus, like everyone else mentioned, that the train is right across the street, and they're also designating a lot of spots for bicyclists to park there to commute. So I think it's definitely a good plan to go forward on it. Thank you.
Good morning. Are you Nick Janek?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Good morning, council members. I've taken off time work today to express my support for the Martin Town Expo Center. I'm a 4th-generation Angelino. I've spent my entire life in Los Angeles, and I currently live and work very close to the proposed site. I believe the project would add significant value to our vibrant city. As a renter, I can personally attest to the lack of housing options in West LA, an unfortunate situation which clearly manifests itself in today's market rental prices. I heard this morning on NPR that Los Angeles is officially now the 3rd most expensive rental city in the country. The Martin Expo Town Center is a step in the right direction to help make West LA a more affordable place to live, and I hope you all agree and approve the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, council members.
What's your name?
My name is Sean Bernardini. I was called earlier and I wasn't present, so I'm hoping to get my opportunity to speak for 1 minute.
Sure.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Sean Bernardini, and I'm an advocate for homeless veterans. I'm here today to support Martin Expo Town Center and the benefits it will provide to the West Los Angeles area. I met Dan while I was garnering support for New Directions for Veterans, a VA nonprofit I'm involved in out at the West LA VA campus. Besides for the direct support the Martin's project will provide the West LA veterans, I think it's a win-win for the community and because of increased revenue in municipal governments. In addition to the Expo Light Rail Station, I think less people will have to drive, and it'll give people access coming in and exiting the area. I was stationed in the Air Force in Europe and Asia, and I can see that the urban low-density sprawl is the exception, not the rule, and I think this is a great opportunity to do something that I think we really have to go in that direction if we want to get the housing we need. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Degood, you filled out 2 cards. Would you like your other minute for item 16? Sir, you don't? He passes? Thank you, sir. Another individual who filled out 2 cards is Matthew Gregorchuk. Are you here? Mr. Gregorchuk? You filled out 2 cards for items 15 and 16. So you get 2 minutes. Madam Clerk, can you post 2 minutes? He filled out 2 cards. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I just want to speak in favor of this project. The City of Los Angeles is in a housing crisis. You guys all know that. There's a bond measure asking to raise more money for housing. And just this project provides housing. It doesn't cost the city anything. The developer will be paying all the fees, all the planning. This is just one more project. If you guys stand in the way of this, it just adds to our problem with the lack of housing in the city. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Clemente, Carlos Clemente, you also filled out a card for 16. Would you like to speak on that item? You pass. He's waving that he's fine. Philip Simons, are you here? You're not speaking? Okay, he passes as well. Joe Miller, you get 2 minutes as well, sir. You filled out your card for 15 and 16.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Joel Miller. I'm a land use consultant with SOMAS representing the Martin family. The Martin Expo Town Center is an excellent example of a TOD project located just 500 feet north of the Metro Bundy station. The evolution of the project didn't happen just by accident. There are a lot of people to thank, and I'd publicly like to acknowledge them right now. To my left, Lucy Ibarra, Sergio Ibarra, and Christina Toy Lee from the Planning Department. I'd also like to thank LA Walks, the Bicycle Coalition of Los Angeles, academicians from Cal Poly and USC, and as a result of over 150 small and community meetings, members of the public. And of course, last but certainly not least, Councilman Mike Bonin's staff who've been involved in the project from the very beginning. Finally, the hundreds of conditions of approval and mitigation measures adopted by the City Planning Commission are all acceptable to us. I would encourage you to vote yes on the project. Thank you.
I have a card for Dana and Mary Martin, but the card also says they do not wish to speak. Are they here? I have to call your names. Would you like to speak? No, they don't like. Okay, thank you very much, but we have your card. John Gregorchuk, you also indicated you would not like to speak, but you filled out a card for 15 and 16. Is he here? Do you want to speak on this item?
Yeah, can I?
Okay. You wrote that you didn't want to speak.
Oh, no, I'll speak. Council members, again, this is John Gregorchuk. You've seen me before. I actually work right next to where this proposed project will be. And I just want to say that this is what the future of LA is asking for. We're begging for more housing. We're begging for more density, taller buildings. We want LA to be a beautiful city because my generation, we go around the country and we go around the world and we travel and we look at all the cities. We look at New York, we look at Chicago, we look at Tokyo, and all these cities have great projects with tall buildings, dense populations. They have beautiful mass transit systems. By approving this project, you're helping LA reach our full potential and expand the use of mass transit systems that we have here in LA. And so this is probably the first time that I'll give back the rest of my speaking time. I just want to thank you, and I urge you to support this project, so thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes cards for the folks in favor of the proposal. Now I'm going to call the names of speakers who are against the proposal. Mr. Bonin, did you want to say something?
Yes, Madam Chair. Among those who are opposing the project is the Neighborhood Council, and I believe that they have filed a community impact statement.
Right.
And in accordance with recent council policy, they should be afforded the opportunity for a greater period of time to speak and the opportunity to come to the table as a quasi-department of the city. And I believe the head of the Land Use Committee, Xochitl, is here.
Xochitl Gonzalez, are you here? You're welcome to sit at the table, and we will allow you to speak up to 5 minutes on this item.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Bonin. Let me just call a couple of more speakers so that they know they're next. Mickey Jackson and Rosie. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Xochitl Gonzalez, and I am authorized on behalf of the West LA Sawtell Neighborhood Council to speak on their behalf. We filed a community impact statement. We are opposed to this project. They first came to us in December of 2014 with the draft EIR. That was back when the project had a land use equivalency program. We wrote then a 9-page letter detailing our opposition to the project. One of our largest oppositions to the project was the sprawling mass and the traffic impacts. We talked about the way it did not fit in with the West LA community plan. And in the general plan, we also felt then, as we do now, that the traffic trips are severely undercounted. But the community impact that we have filed now with the new project speaks specifically to the project that is before you. We feel that the significant severe negative traffic impacts will make our community a more dangerous place to live. I assume you guys all saw the op-ed piece in the Los Angeles Times that talked about LA being one of the most dangerous places for pedestrians, that the people most likely to be hit will be children and the elderly. Those are children walking to school. That's a tremendous concern for people in my neighborhood. We are a community that began as its own city, Sawtell, so we have a lot of elderly residents who live in the neighborhood who choose to walk. And they have written, Bonin has received over 250 letters, I think that's around what we've gotten, of opposition to this project, and many cite their fear of walking in the neighborhood. So that's something that is a tremendous concern to the Neighborhood Council. We oppose the tremendous traffic impacts of this project. It will severely impact 14 intersections up to a mile away. And we want you to understand when we talk about 14 intersections, we're talking about failing intersections, intersections where people wait numerous lights just to get through. I think when we have had other projects before us, we've also had people from the tech industry come and they say, you know, the problem with this severe traffic is we lose our employees. We lose the ability to recruit people when the quality of life becomes so negative that people just don't want to move here. And so that's what the Neighborhood Council is opposed to, the severe negative impacts that will deteriorate the quality of life for the residents and for the employees of the area. We also unequivocally oppose a permit for live entertainment. The traffic impacts of that live entertainment were not studied. Also, the draft EIR did not have what the final EIR had, which was up to 800 pages of traffic studies that we weren't able to comment on. But we oppose this permit for live entertainment. We don't want it to be a draw. We don't want to have events that are happening on a Friday and a Saturday night that are going to draw even more traffic to our neighborhoods. I just want us to all understand that this project is surrounded by single-family neighborhoods, both to the north and the south. The other issue that we have is that the neighborhood wants safe access to our public transportation. There are neighborhoods that are going to have to bypass this project site to access the metro. Right now, you have to cross Olympic and Bundy if you're coming from the north to get to the metro. That intersection is incredibly dangerous to cross. We've had elderly people tell us that they've been hit 5 times in that intersection. Adding 7,000 additional daily car trips to that intersection will only make it more dangerous. So we also want to emphasize that the community has a right to safe access to their public transportation. We all know that the majority of Angelenos will access the metro on foot, especially the residents. So for us, that's a huge issue because adding 7,000 daily car trips is only going to make it more dangerous. And really, ironically, that they call it a TOD project is not accurate. We also want to point out that there is over 4 million square feet of office space in under a mile radius of this project, which is why we've asked for the office space component to be reduced. We also have asked that the retail component go back to the draft EIR stage. From the from the draft to the final EIR stage, the retail actually increased, and we weren't able to comment on this increase. So we'd like to see the retail square footage go back to its original. Was that mine?
Your time is up.
Okay,
That's
thank
5
you.
minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Mickey Jackson, Rosie, and Scott Allen. If you can please line up. All 3 of you filled out cards for items 15 and 16, so all 3 of you will get 2 minutes each.
Mickey Jackson, Coalition to Preserve LA, Friends of Coalition to Preserve LA, AHF. I am very concerned about this hearing. It is not, I think, being conducted properly. There is an appeal. The appeal was not heard at Plum because of a clerical error that prevented Plum from hearing this at all. They deferred it and passed it on to here, where it's supposed to hear everything that should have been heard in Plum. But the appellant is being denied the right to speak as an appellant because there's some communication problem, which I've been trying to talk to everybody over here on the sides about, that is making city attorney and other people say there is no appeal. There is an appeal. And there's appeal on things like the tract map that must be heard before city council for this to be a legitimate hearing. So you must hear the appellant. I don't know why you are not. Now, as to objections to this project, first of all, general plan amendments done for one project like this are not legal by the charter. The charter was reformed in 1969 to prevent exactly this kind of thing after a scandal that resulted in jail for a city council person and for a developer. So you're acting on something you should not be acting on. There are numerous problems with this project. The developer agreement Mr. Bonin's office sent over puts language in that cannot be put in legally. It attempts to override the voice and power of the voters, and the city council attempts to even override its own land use powers with this language. It is not acceptable. I think my 2 minutes are up. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Rosie. She will be allotted 2 minutes. You filled out cards for items 15 and 16. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm Rosie Cotto, and I speak today not as a West Los Angeles Sawtell Neighborhood Council at-large representative, nor as a Plum Committee member, but as a lifelong resident of Sawtell, Japantown, a taxpayer, a registered voter, and a constituent of Mike Bonin, who will be heavily impacted by this project. Like the residents who oppose Bundy Village, I oppose the Martin Expo Town Center. The city charter prohibits spot general plan amendments like this and requires a GPA of 15 acres or more. The city is violating its own city charter. The modified development agreement does nothing to reduce the size of the height. It only shifts the land use, increasing the housing by 50,000 square feet, the retail space by 6,000 square feet, and restaurant space by 9,000 square feet, which will, of course, increase traffic. So how can the addendum EIR repeatedly state unequivocally that the changes proposed would not result in any significant impact? Anyone who has driven southbound on Bundy knows that eliminating the exclusive right turn lane north of Olympic will force drivers to queue up and will significantly impact southbound Bundy traffic. LA has a shortage of affordable, not luxury housing. This mega development belongs in downtown LA, not within a stone's throw of a long-established community of mostly single-family homes. Reduce the total housing. The Kazan project at Sawtelle and Pico is already bringing in 595 units. Remove the creative office space. The Kazan project is already bringing in a 13-story office building. Remove the master conditional use permit for live entertainment and liquor. Reduce the retail space. Many Japanese and Japanese Americans were forced to settle into this area after World War II, after much sacrifice, and after incarceration. These forgotten citizens deserve to have their quality of life protected from the out-of-scale development of Martintown Center. This community does not deserve to be railroaded.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Scott Allen. You've also filled out a card for 15 and 16, so you'll have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Scott Allen. I'm a lifelong Angelino. I filled out my card because I wanted to voice my support for the Martin Expo Center, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Danilo. You will also be given 2 minutes since you filled out a card for 15.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm a resident, immediate resident of the where the Martin Expo project will take place, and I'd like to say that a lot of the supporters for the Martin project are somewhat disingenuous in their support, because first of all, even though they might live in Brentwood, it's really quite far away from where the project will be. Also, it looks like everybody that has a plot along the Expo line now wants to build 1,000 apartment buildings in order to cash in. Should projects like this be approved by the City Council, there should be more provisions to beautify our immediate streets, to finish our sidewalks, which in the neighborhood where I live, there are sidewalks that have not been finished. Also, we have large streets that are not, the crosswalks are not painted, and we have no flashing lights for pedestrians. I walk my children to a school that was a charter school that was founded, and it was opened last year in the neighborhood, which Councilman Bonan was totally opposed to it, because obviously education for the children take last place to people that want to make money out of developing. And another thing, this housing project is not affordable to anyone, and most of the people have spoken on his behalf will not be able to afford the rents that they will most likely be charging for this project. And if the project should go forward, we should ask the City Council to send the Martin people back to the drawing table to work with the DOT to make our pedestrians walking a lot safer and to make Los Angeles a livable city, and instead of another concrete jungle with cars in and out of parking lots. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The last speaker is William Moorhead. I think I called that person already. You already spoke. Yeah, you filled out a second card that was misplaced in the wrong pile. Would you like to speak again? So you have 1 minute, because I think we gave you a minute earlier.
Thank you. The Martin family has done a good job in preparing for this project, planning for it, and accessing public opinion both in the neighborhood and without the neighborhood. I'd like to reiterate something I said before. People who can invest are fleeing California. Dan and Dana Martin, when I said, why don't you put your money in UBS, sell the land, walk off. You can get over 10% a year for certain with no risk. Dana Martin said, we're doubling down on Los Angeles. We helped build this city to what it is today, and we are going to stay. We are going to make a stand here. That's a gutsy statement, but he put his money where his mouth is, and that's something to be admired, and I really hope you folks help them make a buck.
Thank you, sir. And that concludes public comment on items 15 and 16. Mr. Bonin?
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, I want to thank you for your attention and your forbearance on this matter. This is longer than we would ordinarily spend on this issue.
You were given 5 minutes as a result of being on the neighborhood council. You filled out the cards for 15 and 16, and we allotted you 5 minutes. You filled out a separate card for items. Mr. Bonin? Mr. Bonin will allow you to speak. Go ahead on item 16. You have 1 minute.
An item that is not in the development agreement. So some of the entitlements that are Class 1 judicial, and I have a right to speak on a minimum amount of time because this was not heard at Plum because of irregularity. So I just want to say that first and foremost. I also want to say that we saw, which is the Homeowners Association to which I belong, we filed an appeal, and we were not heard at Plum because of irregularity. We filed the appeal out of frustration because we felt this project was too large, the impacts were too great, and we were frustrated, and the level of frustration continued to rise. But then we found something else. We found that the similarities between this project and the Millennium Project were so similar, strikingly similar in piece after piece after piece. We went through their case, and they were identical. So I want you to know that we now have over 300 pages of exhibits that we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now that concludes public comments on both items 15 and 16. Mr. Bonin?
Thank you. So as I was saying, colleagues, I want to thank you for your attention and forbearance on this matter. Because of a clerical error in the posting of the agenda for Plum, and because this was a time-limited file, Plum had to waive consideration of the matter. So this body is considering the matter in its entirety. And in order to do that, we wanted to have everybody who filled out a public comment card speak. We gave the community impact statement time for the neighborhood council. And I've been told that it would be advisable for the planning department to make a brief presentation to council to explain what is before us today. There have been changes and improvements to this project since it was before the Citywide Planning Commission. And it's my understanding, and planning will confirm this, that all of those changes have been captured in the documents that are before us today, and also included in the revised draft development agreement that was submitted and which contains all the public benefits that I want to see. Planning, if you could summarize the project before us and explain how this is different from what was before CPC.
Sure. Good morning, council members. My name is Lucila Ibarra with the Department of City Planning. At its meeting of May 26, the City Planning Commission approved a mixed-use project consisting of 516 residential units, 50,000 square feet of grocery use, 40,000 square feet of retail, and 9,000 square feet of restaurant uses. The project also included 200,000 square feet of office and subterranean parking. Since the issuance of the determination, the applicant has made project modifications, namely a reduction in the creative office from 200,000 square feet to 150,000 square feet, a reduction of the supermarket from 50,000 to 35,000 square feet, and the transfer of the reduced floor area going to the general retail and restaurant uses, and the project's 516 residential units. These modifications were analyzed in an addendum that was prepared by the department, which confirmed that the changes do not create any new impacts, result in substantial changes to previously analyzed environmental impacts, or represent new information to the project's EIR. The changes have been made available and are included in the administrative record dating back several weeks. On September, I want to make a note, on September 12th, the city received an email from the West Sawtelle Homeowners Association purporting to appeal the development agreement for the project. For the record, not only was the appeal not properly filed, but the last day to appeal the City Planning Commission's actions was on June 24th. With respect to the objections to the EIR, despite the concerns that were raised, there has been no substantial evidence to dispute the findings or the analysis of the EIR. The previous commenter on Mrs. Jackson, she was mistaken. No appeal has ever been filed either for the tract or for the CPC actions as previously stated. And with respect to the general plan amendment, the city has every right to amend the plan, either in whole or in part. It's explicitly stated in our charter that we have permission to do so, and it's entirely within our discretion to consider general plan amendments. Unless there's any questions, that concludes planning's presentation on the matter.
Thank you.
Mr. Bonin?
Thank you, Madam President. So, colleagues, let me tell you a little bit about this project. Obviously, it's a big project. It has generated a lot of interest in the 11th District. As most of you know, particularly those of you who sit on Plum, development issues are always controversial in my district, and folks in most of my district are frequently skeptical or resistant to a lot of the projects that come forward. And while there are certainly many who are opposed to this project was different. You saw today large numbers of people, far more here today, speaking in favor of this project than against. And what we saw over the course of several years of this project going through the pipeline, in over 150 individual and community meetings, was folks from Brentwood and West LA and Mar Vista, and even from Pacific Palisades, embracing this concept with energy and with optimism and with imagination. They took a project which at the beginning, frankly, was not very good, and shaped it into something which I think is remarkable and quite appropriate for the location. And I think it is the location itself which caused that sense of community contribution to developing and reshaping this project. And what makes this location different is it is literally across the street from the only train stop in my district. It is across the street from the Metro Expo Line's Bundy Station. And so when it was proposed, everybody said, oh, we will have transit-oriented development. Now, I personally get very wary and very skeptical whenever I hear somebody say transit-oriented development. Because a lot of times, I think very frequently, what gets billed as transit-oriented development is not. It's nothing more than transit-adjacent development. It is not integrated with or serving mass transit, and it is not built with the right mix of uses to be transit-oriented development. And this one actually is transit-oriented development for a number of reasons. As I said, it's across the street from the train station, and it is designed in a way to have a huge inviting pedestrian plaza open to the public that you will be able to see from the nearby neighborhood, and you'll even be able to have a line of sight from the train station itself. It has what I think is a reasonable and appropriate amount of neighborhood-serving retail, not regional destination shopping, but neighborhood-serving retail that folks have been clamoring for. It provides over 100 parking spaces for riders of the Expo Line, which is booming and getting enthusiastic reviews. Significantly, because we have learned that people who make less money are more likely to use mass transit in Los Angeles County, this project has a phenomenal allocation of affordable housing. More than 20% of the 500 units in this project are affordable. That is the highest amount of affordable housing ever negotiated in a development agreement in the city of Los Angeles, the highest amount. More than that, of that affordable housing, 1/4 of that affordable housing, 5% of the entire project, is low-income housing, which is going to be targeted for serving people who are formerly homeless on the west side. As part of the development agreement, the developer will be working with a social service agency to do a master lease so that that population in such dire need in this district and in the city can be served. There are transit incentives galore for residents and tenants. There are all sorts of pedestrian improvements, traffic mitigations. We have heard from Riot Games, which has 1,500 employees in the area, California Cryobank, which has 200 employees in the area, that their employees want to live here. In so many of the other TODs in the city, we have seen studies where folks just drive far away to work. These are places where the employees live next door and have literally been banging on the doors of the Martin family saying, when are you going to have your units? We want to move in. We want to live here. That has a significant impact positively on traffic. Now, the project did not start this way. It started very different. And as a result of those 150 meetings, as I said, individual and community meetings, and consultation with all sorts of folks, it changed a lot. The original proposal was all commercial over ground floor. It was a pretty traditional office building development. The new one is mixed use with a significant component of housing, neighborhood serving retail, genuine transit integrating features, and shared public spaces. The original proposal didn't have affordable housing. As I said, a record-setting amount of affordable housing now, including housing for the homeless. The original project, as I said, was transit adjacent and was not transit oriented. The new revised project genuinely promotes, incentivizes, and is integrated with transit in a number of ways. There's ride-sharing programs such as carpooling incentives, transit incentives, priority parking for carpools. There's a transit pass discount program, bike mobility features such as showers, long-term bike storage, and a self-service bike repair, a car share program, the opportunity for upgrades to transit amenities such as the local bus stops and pedestrian features, bike parking, 117 short-term bike parking spaces and 600 long-term bike parking spaces, in addition to electric vehicle charging. Originally, there was no parking for the Expo line. Now there's 100 spaces set aside. Traffic circulation. Originally, the proposal included just the legally required mitigation measures. Now, in addition to paying those hundreds of thousands of dollars of traffic impact fees that the city requires, which will be used to improve circulation in the area, this project is paying for a raised median in Bundy to prevent illegal left turns and cut through traffic and to make it easier for pedestrians. And it's also making a commitment to fund for $250,000 the installation of a traffic signal if the neighborhood wants it. That money is there if it's something the neighborhood wants. Open space. In an earlier version of the project, the pedestrian plaza was elevated and was hard to see from the street. You didn't know it was a public space. In the new version, the pedestrian plaza is at the ground floor. It's a half-acre in size. It's visible from the neighborhood. It's well-designed. It's open and inviting to the public. There's also an approximately 4,000 square foot pedestrian entry plaza at the corner of Olympic and Bundy so that it's welcoming and pedestrian friendly. There was an issue about the grocery store. I thought the size of the grocery store was a bit too large and would have been a regional draw, and it would have been originally a corner feature of the project. That has been reduced by 40%, and it's located within the pedestrian plaza to make it genuinely neighborhood-serving retail. The other retail, fast food restaurants were in the original proposal. They're gone. It's all neighborhood-serving retail for the people who live nearby and the employees who live nearby. The commercial office space has been reduced by 25%. The original project had a huge billboard on the corner, which, as many of you know, is a flashpoint of concern on the west side. Mr. Koretz will attest, billboard's not very popular. It would have been a defining feature of this project. The billboard is gone, and there will be no billboards ever as part of the development agreement. The Cadillac showroom was going to be a defining feature on the corner. That is being moved inside and is going to be a smaller feature. The original design really wasn't that good. Then they brought in Gensler, and it's a fantastic design now. This is a good project, and it's appropriate for this neighborhood, and it's genuine transit-oriented development. If we did not approve this, and there's some who still don't want that, what this land is zoned for would allow much more intense use that would be horrible for the neighborhood. It wouldn't be transit serving, it wouldn't provide housing, it could be heavily industrial use, it could be big box retail, all of which would create horrible impacts for the neighborhood and not solve any of the problems we have in Los Angeles, particularly on the west side, an affordable housing crisis and a jobs housing imbalance that creates tremendous traffic gridlock. This project helps to solve both of those problems. Throughout this process, I have heard from so many people clamoring for us to do this. From West LA, from Mar Vista, from Brentwood, And as I said, even from Pacific Palisades. I have heard folks say, I work there, I'm sick of driving an hour and a half through your constituents' neighborhoods, I want to live nearby. And I've heard the same from the employers. I have heard parents say to me, I want my kids to be able to live on the west side of Los Angeles, and they can't afford to anymore. Please give them a place to live. I have heard residents of the neighborhood, people who have lived there for 6 months, people who have lived there for decades, saying there's not enough neighborhood serving retail. There are not enough amenities here. It's not safe enough for pedestrians. Please give us a way to have those resources. And all of those are built into this project. So colleagues, with the changes that have been made, reflected in the planning documents and the draft development agreement, I'm going to ask that we support this project and approve the entitlements and direct the city attorney to prepare the development agreement for council approval. And so I formally move approval of the recommended actions for item 15 and 16 and ask for your concurrence.
And a seconder?
There are, seeing no more members on the queue, we're going to take up both items together, items 15 and 16. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Congratulations. Okay, hold on. As soon as the applause ends, I can say forthwith on items 15 and 16 for Mr. Bonin. Madam Clerk, can we send item 6 forthwith as well?
Without objection?
That will be the order. We're going to move on to public comment. First speaker is Barry Johnson on public comment. Is that person here? Mr. Johnson? Followed by Ira Belgrade.
I'm Barry Johnson, and I'm here. I was appointed to speak by the Studio City Neighborhood Council on item number 6, for which I filled out a speaker card. And when that item was called, I believe I heard there were no speaker cards. And I didn't know if I should shout out from the audience, yes, I filled one out, but I did fill one out, and you didn't call
Mr. Johnson,
on me.
I'm going to pause you right there. Hold this time. If I can please ask the members of the public who are exiting council chambers to please do it as quickly as possible. We have speakers that cannot be heard. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Anyway, I wasn't called on item number 6. Our neighborhood council sent you all a letter, which was also hard copies were brought here today, and it was basically supporting what Council Member Koretz said against Motion 12B last week. But I guess it's too late now because the vote was quickly taken.
And just for the record, the reason we did not take cards for item 6 is because public comment was satisfied last week. Next speaker is Ira Belgrade. Is he here? Ira Belgrade, are you here? He is not in council chambers, and that concludes public comment. Mr. Kokorin, you're on the queue. You're not on the, okay. Your name appears on here. We'll take you off, no problem. Like I said, that concludes public comment. What's before us, Madam Clerk?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Posted and referred.
That clears the desk.
Members, are there any announcements? Mr. Harris Dawson, did you have an announcement? No. Any announcements? Seeing none. Can we please rise for adjourning motions, please? All members of the audience as well. Madam Clerk, can we take up item 14 forthwith for Mr. Buscaino?
Without objection.
Okay, that will be the order. Adjourning motions. Anyone on my left? Mr. Harris Dawson.
So much, Madam Chair and members. I'd like to ask the council to adjourn in the memory of Brian Andrew Hull. We're joined today by Mr. Hull's mother, Latanya, his pastor, and his brother. Brian Hull was born on August 28, 1987, to Latanya Hull and Dennis Monroe. Delivered at 10 a.m. and had the most beautiful big brown eyes. His birth was witnessed by his grandmother, Janetta Hull. He graduated from Leroy Hines Education Center and attended Mount Set College. Received a football scholarship and enjoyed playing sports. He's also passionate about cars and studied at the Automotive Technology Center at El Camino College. He had an outgoing personality and dedicated his life to Christ at an early age. He faced many hardships growing up, but never lost faith, suffered from diabetes, but was never known to let that keep him down for too long. Our beloved Brian died on August 5, 2016, from injuries sustained in a hit-and-run collision in Los Angeles, California. He fought a long and hard battle to stay with us, but in the end, God wanted him more. He is survived by his mothers, his brothers, David, Dante, Carl, and Malik, and his sisters, Jasmine and Denisha. He also leaves behind grandparents, aunts, uncles, and a host of neighbors and friends. We asked the public if they know anything about this hit and run on Broadway, somewhere between 92nd and Century Boulevard, to notify police right away. There is a reward in play. We will be putting up posters around that neighborhood, but we wanted to recognize the loss of this dynamic young man on City Council today.
Thank you, Mr. Harris Dawson. Mr. Englander?
I'd also like to recognize their parents that were here and last week. Thanks for doing that. And his brother was here as well. Today, I'm asking that we adjourn in memory of a dear friend of mine, and many of you, I'm sure, knew him as well. He was a veteran of the San Fernando Valley, a civic leader, real estate executive J. Richard Lehner, passed away on Saturday at the age of 79. Richard was a resident of Northridge and arrived in the Valley in 1978. He obtained a real estate license, began a decades-long love affair with the community. Richard was a familiar presence at all civic functions, chambers of commerce meetings, but still found time to serve on a variety of governmental committees and volunteered his time to a number of Valley nonprofit organizations. He was the recipient of the 2005 Fernando Award, considered the Academy Awards for volunteerism in the San Fernando Valley for philanthropy and involvement. Richard was born March 18, 1937 in New Jersey, in Jersey City, and he went on to earn a bachelor's degree in marketing from New York University. He then went to work in the finance world, where he became the youngest managing partner on Wall Street at Liner, Dreskin and Company. At his passing, the time of his passing, he was the executive vice president of Ely Commercial Real Estate, a boutique firm specializing in the sale and leasing of retail office space. In fact, he was the one that found me my first campaign office that turned out to be just phenomenal. But Richard was recently here in these council chambers, in fact, meeting with Mr. Cedillo and I. So he had the idea of bringing in shipping containers to house the homeless. And he brought us all kinds of examples and samples of shipping containers and how they can easily be converted and plopped down on existing city property. Just plug them in, hook them up, you're good to go. And that many of these are being used all over the world. He was doing this just a couple months ago, constantly calling me and saying that, we've got to do something. In fact, when he got ill, just about 6 weeks ago, he called me and said that he and Barbara had to move out of their home and had to move into a nursing home because he needed some help, and it was a little too much for her to do on her own. And I said, Richard, you're always calling me, asking me to do something. You're not calling to tell me about your health. He said, no. I want you to come speak at the nursing home because the people here, they need to be involved in the community. We got hundreds here. You got to come speak at one of our lunches and get them involved. And just all the way up to the end. That was Richard Lehner. He's survived by his wife, Barbara, daughters Dory Peskin and Francis, his brother Joel. His services are today. I'm heading there now. At the Eternal Light Chapel, at Eden Mortuary in Sepulveda and Mission Hills. So it starts at 1, leaving council to go there now. He's a dear friend and a pistol, fabric of our community, guy that just cares and can continue to care to the end, up until everyone. Everything he touched made such a big difference. So Richard, rest in peace knowing we're a better place because of your hand and what you've touched. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Englander. Anyone else on my left? Any adjourning motions on my right? Okay, this council meeting is adjourned.